Old wooden chairs creak in time. We remember hot summer nights, cool with tales from December. Worn hands weave stories spun from lives full of grace. The magic of the porch, where dreams find their place.
My name is Mercedes Nesfield. I am 91 years of age, and I was born on October 18th, 1933, in New York City. As a child, I had a very wonderful childhood. You might say a very normal childhood, because I was blessed not to have been affected by major concerns that caused me not to have a happy childhood. My father, right after I was born in 1933, and those were the Depression years, my father lost his job as an elevator operator, and he was the breadwinner of the family. My mother, myself, and his mother, my grandmother, we all lived together. So consequently, we went on welfare. And at that time, going on welfare was not something that you talked about, because it let everyone know that you were poor, and that you had problems in keeping the family together. I had a happy childhood in spite of the depression and coming out of the depression. I was sheltered from a lot of that. I was fortunate to have a father who called me princess from the day I was born. My mother was a wonderful, sweet, quiet sort. My dad and I were the talkers in the family. My grandmother, his mother, who lived with us, was a church member par excellence, who was a prayer warrior. So I knew that grandma loved to sing and she loved to pray. And my father always made sure that I had whatever it was that I needed. So I was not really a part of any problems during that time. We lived on 132nd Street in Harlem in a railroad flat. My mother made it comfortable. And in 1941, when the Japanese Pearl Harbor, that Sunday, December 7th, is a day that I will always remember. This was really the most significant world event in my childhood that I felt something about, because that Sunday after church, I had taken a nap. My mother woke me up and she said, "The Japanese just bombed Pearl Harbor, and your daddy most probably will have to go to the army." That bothered me. My daddy had to go to the army. He was going to not be at home. He was going to go to fight. But because he was the breadwinner of the family, he was exempted from going into the army. But that world event was the signal political world situation in my young childhood. In New York, we segregated ourselves, our communities, our neighborhoods. You didn't go into other neighborhoods and feel comfortable. You stayed in your place, whether it was Harlem, whether it was Bed-Stuy, whether it was Bushwick in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy and Bushwick in Brooklyn, or in the Bronx and the South Bronx. You stayed in your neighborhood. You didn't go to the white neighborhoods. And I really felt that type of dynamic when I went to high school. I went to high school in 1948. And I went to the High School of Music and Art, and I was the only one from my junior high school to pass the entrance exam to attend that school. So my junior high school was very proud of me, and everybody knew me. And sometimes I even played the piano in gym at my junior high school. So everybody knew me. I was so excited to go to music and art. I was going to this specialized high school, and the first day of high school, I went to the room assigned. All of the students were standing outside the door. They were all talking to each other. They knew each other. They were all white, blonde, and blue eyed, and I was the only black girl in the class. In New York, we segregated ourselves, our communities, our neighborhoods. You didn't go into other neighborhoods and feel comfortable. You stayed in your place, whether it was Harlem, whether it was Bed-Stuy, whether it was Bushwick in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy and Bushwick in Brooklyn, or in the Bronx, in the South Bronx. You stayed in your neighborhood. You didn't go to the white neighborhoods. And I really felt that type of dynamic when I went to high school. I went to high school in 1948, and I went to the High School of Music and Art. And I was the only one from my junior high school to pass the entrance exam to attend that school. So my junior high school was very proud of me, and everybody knew me. And sometimes I even played the piano in gym at my junior high school. So everybody knew me. I was so excited to go to music and art. I was going to this specialized high school, and the first day of high school, I went to the room assigned. All of the students were standing outside the door. They were all talking to each other. They knew each other. They were all white, blonde, and blue eyed, and I was the only black girl in the class. I came from a setting where I was really uh, uh, talked about so proudly. Everybody knew me in my junior high school. I was glad to go to the High School of Music and Art, a prestigious high school, and I go the first day, and I felt like I wanted to just dig a hole and go in. Nobody talked to me. Nobody. I went and I sat down, and I was miserable my first day at music and art. But the thing is, I couldn't tell my parents that because they were so proud of the fact that I had gotten into music and art. I was not going to burst their bubble. So the second day, when I went back to school, and I went to theory class, and you go to theory class and you have to sit at a piano with a partner. I walked into the room and I sat at the piano by myself. Other students came in and they spoke to their girlfriends. Hi, you want me to sit next to you? Da, da, da. Nobody said a word to me. But, I, being stalwart, and my daddy always told me that you are somebody. I mean, my father instilled in me that I was somebody. And I sat at the piano. A black girl, at that time we didn't say black, we said colored. A colored girl came to the door of the class, and she looked around, and she came over towards me, and she said, "Do you have a partner?" I said, "No, I don't have a partner." She said, "Can I be your partner?" I said, "Yes." She sat down next to me. We were partners. That girl was Diane Carroll. Diane Carroll Johnson. That was her name, Diane Carroll Johnson. And in later years, the world got to know her as Diane Carroll. and we maintained a friendship at the black table because there were a smattering of other blacks in the art division and some in the music division. So at 12 o'clock lunchtime, we all came to the black table. We came to our community where we could be ourselves before going back to the segregation of the classroom. You looked for the blacks at the black table at lunchtime, and at dismissal, you waited for each other out there on Convent Avenue, right at the park, and we would walk across the street to the park, hang out there before going to our respective homes. But I knew I had to really uh, know how to be the master of my life. During the civil rights, uh, the early parts of the civil rights movement, when, let's start, for example, with the Martin Luther King era, I was teaching, and I made sure that my students knew and understood what his I Have a Dream speech was all about. And we talked about segregation. And even then, because I started teaching in 1955, and in the 60s, I remember I put on a civil rights play one night at a PTA event at the school, which still stands on 120th Street, Madison Avenue. And I had the students to come in as protesters and talking about racial segregation, and that we all were one, and that this was a country where we were all supposed to be together as a people. The song, I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free, that was one of the songs that I taught the graduating class, and they understood what that meant. It was the Black Mecca, where we had, of course, the Apollo Theater. We had great restaurants. We had various other cultural activities in Harlem.